Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the best and worst legends in Split 1 of Season 16. Everybody loves their tier lists, I know I love my tier list, so let's talk about it. But just quickly guys, if you are looking to hit a new peak rank in Season 16, then you need to check out the GameLeap website right now. Over there we have top level coaches creating the best, most highly informative guides that you will ever see. They're all site exclusive. We got legend guides, gun guides, VOD reviews, and much more, and we even are pushing out new guides to cover all the reworks and changes that Season 16 brought. No matter what kind of things you struggle with as a player, we have a solution for you. So click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership, and join that club of people that we've helped climb today. But okay, let's talk tier lists, and starting off we have our D tier because we gotta work our way up to the top, and finding themselves in the D tier are Mirage and Revenant. Now Mirage did receive some buffs at the start of Season 16. He now is allowed to cloak an ally when they're reviving them, and also his decoys do help a little bit more scan wise. But guys, honestly, this was not enough to move Mirage anywhere higher in the tier list. In order for his scans to actually work with the decoys, you have to be shooting them, and he still has all the ways to tell which one the real Mirage is. You really shouldn't be shooting a decoy, and if somebody is shooting a decoy, they probably just don't know the tips and tricks, but as soon as you move up into higher ranks, people understand, and he just isn't viable. And I've said it once, I'll say it again, the revive, it's really not that good. A bunch of other legends have better revives than he does. I've faced a bunch of Mirages already in Season 16, and I've been able to counter the revives a bunch of different times. He's really not that good of a legend. Is he fun to play? For you, he might be, but that does not make him a good legend. I'm sorry, D tier he stays. And the other legend finding themselves here is Revenant. Now Revenant is a strong character in one very specific situation, and that is when you can find a fight that you can third party without being focused as you run up. Revenant on his own is not a strong character. Revenant needs a secondary partner to be kind of synergized with in order to get him into the fight with a lot of time still left on the death totem. And right now there isn't really a legend in the meta that helps him do that. It used to be Octane, but he received a bunch of nerfs and Octane just isn't meta right now. Then it was kind of Ashe, but again, she's not meta, she kind of fell out. Revenant just doesn't have that synergy, and especially right now with hammer points being in the game, they do affect you in your Revenant death totem form. So somebody can just two-shot you with the Mozambique, send you back, and you haven't really been able to do a lot of damage. He's just not a strong character right now, I'm sorry, D tier. Moving into C tier though, we have Gibraltar and Lifeline. Now Gibby used to be the king of Apex, you saw him on pretty much every single team, but a bunch of nerfs that hit his character plus a bunch of other buffs to legends that counter him have made him just such a bad pick right now. Crypto EMP counters him, Maggie's Wrecking Ball counters him, and also Seer's Tactical counters him. There's just so many meta picks that are just direct counters to Gibraltar that he isn't really a good pick right now. He can't really use his bubble effectively, he can't do the things that he wants to do effectively, but it's not enough to drop him into D tier because he is still good in those specific situations where you can use his bubble. His revives can be fast, the bubble can provide cover when you need it. He still does have some strong situations, so he goes into the C tier, not the D tier. But now let's talk about Lifeline because she was also another legend that did receive a buff at the start of Season 16. Not only does she not get slowed down nearly as much when she starts to revive a teammate, but her ultimate also comes down a lot faster. Lifeline really suffered from having to be in one spot way too long, whether it was reviving a teammate or waiting for that care package to come down. If you called a care package in mid-rank game, you were basically ringing a dinner bell saying, hey, there's free KP here, come kill us. Now it's not so much of the case because it comes down very quickly and people cannot track it accurately enough, or if they can, you're gone before they even get there. Now these buffs have not been enough to move her into the meta and be as strong as she once was, but they were strong enough to move her up a tier and be a little bit of a more viable option if you are a Lifeline main. Okay, that's our C tier done, so let's move into our B tier legends, and finding themselves here are Fuse, Rampart, Ashe, Horizon, and Octane. Starting off, Fuse, I know a lot of people really like to have Fuse because he can cause a lot of chaos, but right now in the meta, he's just not a very strong pick. In order for Fuse to be causing chaos, he wants to have legends that want to post up and be that kind of support character, but a lot of the meta right now is just be getting up into your face, fighting you, and not standing still anyway. His knuckle clusters lose a lot of effectiveness, and especially his mother load loses effectiveness because right now there's so many different movement characters in the meta that most of the time you're not actually going to be able to catch somebody inside the ring of fire. They're going to have some way to get out of it. Everything that he wants to do is just super countered, but he can still be a good viable option on specific team comps, so he's not bad enough to drop any lower, but he also can't move up. Right now he's just kind of a middle of the pack legend. But now let's talk about Rampart, and yes, Rampart's walls can be very deadly, but most of the time you're not actually going to be able to set them up against a team that actually knows how to counter a Rampart. And if you do get them set up, somebody can just lob a grenade over top of them, and now you can't play behind that for a few seconds, giving the enemy time to then push up on you or just kind of take a new angle. If Rampart has the time and opportunity to set up her walls and then lay down some cover fire, she can be pretty effective. But most of the time, teams are not going to be giving you a lot of time to do that, and if they are, then they're really misplaying it and they deserve to die anyway. Sheila also kind of falls into the same boat. If somebody's giving you the time to spin Sheila up and then peeking you, they deserve to die. Once you see that red laser and you hear the little roar of it spinning up, you should know, hey, I should not peek that Rampart. You should be using cover to break line of sight, peeking up from new angles, and then countering the Rampart that way, because Sheila does slow her down quite a lot. There's just so many ways to play around a Rampart and make her just not effective that she just falls into the B tier. But speaking of falling into B tier, let's talk about Ashe, because Ashe used to be a very good sleeper pick and one that I actually quite enjoyed having on my team. The biggest strength of Ashe came from her passive, being able to see where all the fights are happening on the map and being able to plan rotations based off that. Either you wanted to go in third party or you wanted to avoid them to have a safer spot in zone. But now with the new class system reworked, the recon legends can just do that better anyway. They actually get to see where everyone is on the map, not just where the fights are happening. So that takes away a lot of Ashe's passive usefulness, and then she's only really left with her tactical and her ultimate. And the tactical is not a very big playmaking ability. It does fly very slow, and it's very easy to just get out of the way of it and then kind of play around that. And then that leaves just her ultimate, and it can be very easy to mess up the portal. Unless you are very versed in Ashe and understand exactly where the portal is going to go, it's very easy to mess it up, and then you're just dead because of that. So Ashe has fallen into B tier. It kind of breaks my heart because I was really hoping that Ashe would be a lot more meta this season because I like Ashe, but you know, we can't always get what we want. Now, one of the most surprising legends falling into this tier is Horizon, because I thought Horizon was still going to be stupidly strong when this season came out. From all the early playtesting, it looked like her gravity lift was still a very good option for fights. It seemed like she was fairly accurate on still, and her black hole did not receive any changes either, so it seemed like Horizon was still going to be a good pick. But as season 16 is now evolving and coming out, there are just much better options for legends right now, and Horizon has just kind of fallen out of the meta. Now, don't get me wrong, she's still a strong legend. If you play Horizon, you can still play Horizon and do very well on her. The reason that I have her in B tier is because she's not that go-to pick anymore. If you had no idea who to play, you just played Horizon and you were perfectly fine, but she's not that pick anymore. There are just better options. Could she move up? Absolutely. This was one of the hardest legends for me to place on this tier list, and it's probably the most controversial on this one, so let me know your opinions in the comments down below. And the last legend in B tier is Octane. Now, Octane does not have any team usefulness, really. He has his jump pad, but it's not as good as other mobility legends to get the team from point A to point B. Where Octane shines is his 1v1 potential with movement, because his stim makes him so hard to hit if you actually understand how to do proper strafing. And also, if you're one of the movement gods, he just allows you to be so much more elusive and versatile, and he's just so good in those 1v1 situations. If somebody does a lot of initial damage, Octane can take advantage of that. But he's not a good team legend, and he doesn't really have that viability in most team comps, so he doesn't really have a spot in the meta, and that's why I have him in B tier. He's very straightforward though, so there's not a whole lot to talk about there. So let's now move into our A tier legends. Finding themselves here are Pathfinder, Valkyrie, Catalyst, Watson, Vantage, Crypto, Bangalore, and Caustic. It's a lot of legends, I know, so let's talk about them. First off, Pathfinder. I know a lot of people are going to be saying, yo, what the hell, 8 Second? Pathfinder's stupidly busted right now. And the thing you guys got to understand, this is just a honeymoon phase. Everyone's just super excited and happy that Pathfinder's finally getting some love and he's back in the meta. Something that you guys are all forgetting about though is his hitbox is still massive and his cooldowns are still very long. If you don't have your grapple, you are a walking fridge and a bullet magnet. Is he a lot better than he was? Absolutely. I love the new Pathfinder. I've been playing him a lot in season 16 and I've been absolutely loving it. He is a good option for people that want to have that mobility, but he's not as broken as people really want to believe he is. He's strong, not broken, A tier. Now our next legend is Valkyrie, and there were some rumors that Valkyrie was going to be losing her scanning ability while she was flying, and people were kind of blowing that out of proportion as well. Valkyrie's strengths do not come from scanning people as she's flying. It's kind of a little bit of a bonus, but it's not what people play her for. People play her for the mobility that she gives the team. It does not matter what kind of situation you're in or what kind of playstyle you want to have. Valkyrie can help your team out so much. She allows different teams and different playstyles to just kind of do what they want to do. But nerf after nerf after nerf have dropped her out of the S tier, and honestly, I could place her in B tier if I wanted to, but her ultimate is still just very strong on a lot of different maps. So that is why I kept her in A tier. Now Catalyst is also going to be one of the ones that people are probably highly debating about, because if you like Catalyst, you absolutely love her and think she's broken, but if you don't like Catalyst, you think she's useless and deserves to be in D tier. But honestly, Catalyst is strong in the right hands. Once you actually understand how teams want to fight and you can start to take real estate away with not only your ultimate but your spikes as well, then you can really start to create choke points and funnel people into the spots that you want them to be in. A good Catalyst can really turn the tide of a fight without doing any harm to your team either, because the wall can kind of mess you up from time to time. But the reason that I have her in A tier, not anything higher, is because she doesn't really offer anything more to the team. She is a support playstyle, but it really relies on your knowledge of the game. She doesn't really offer anything to the team. She's not the support like Newcastle where he can revive you or create cover, or a support like Lobo where she can give you gear. She's a different kind of support, and you have to play her as a different kind of support, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. But anyway, let's talk about Wattson now. Now Wattson has been seeing a lot more playtime in the meta recently, and I used to be a Wattson main back when she first came out and kind of when I started playing tournaments when the Pathfinder Wraith Wattson meta was a thing. And I love Wattson, I love playing her, and it does make me very excited that she is used again. And honestly, she's pretty strong of a pick, but the reason that I have her in A tier and not anything higher is because she does rely on one specific playstyle. You need to have a strong building where she can put her generator down in a safe spot and be able to trap up based off of that. She is very locked into one specific playstyle, and if you don't play her like that, then you are losing a bunch of usefulness as Wattson. She cannot really be aggressive. I know some people do play her aggressive, but it's not really her cup of tea. It really takes a master of Wattson to be able to play aggressive, and that's like 0.01% of the population that play Wattson. So yeah, very strong A tier pick. But now Vantage is one that a lot of people just kind of have no idea where she is in the meta, but trust me guys, she's A tier. Vantage opens up a lot of different opportunities for your loadout, and right now we are in a very strong shotgun SMG meta, and you can run both those because you have close range covered, and then your ultimate is a sniper rifle that allows you to cover medium and long range as well. And she can be very aggressive with repositions with Echo, and she can be gathering information for your team by looking at someone and telling what kind of armor they have and how many people are alive on that team. Vantage is good. Trust me guys, I know a lot of people think that Vantage is not that good in the meta, but she is strong. If you want to be a super versatile support type playstyle, pick Vantage. Now moving into Crypto, he is going to be so slept on in the meta right now. He counters Gibraltar, he counters Seer, and he gives your team so much initial damage with the EMP that you can win fights very easily. Now Crypto does want to be more of a zone playstyle person where he sets up in a building, plays on his Game Boy, figures out where people are, and then you wait till endgame where you can hit a bunch of different people with your EMP and then clean them all up. And honestly, right now with teams dying so quickly in lobbies, you can get such easy placement points and then rack up a bunch of kills at the end with Crypto. If you guys are a Crypto enjoyer, you're going to be very strong this season, and people aren't going to know how to play against you because Crypto isn't a highly used legend, but he's very strong, A tier for sure. Now Bangalore is another one of the legends that I had a very hard time placing because right now she is very strong. She does counter aim assist, she does counter a lot of different stuff in the meta, but the reason that I have her in A tier and not S tier or anything like that is because she is a double-edged sword. Bangalore can mess your team up just as much as she can mess the enemy team up, and that can really hurt people. You have to have such a high amount of game sense in order to play Bangalore properly because you need to be smoking off enemy lines of sight and not your own teams. You need to be using your smokes as basically a wall to cut the enemy team off and make it so you guys are in a 3v1 or 3v2 and giving your team the advantage. And not a lot of Bangalore mains do that properly. And I was also thinking that Bangalore is going to be a lot stronger because the scan meta was supposed to be going away, but the scans are just as strong as they were, they're just strong in different ways. So Bangalore was very tough, but I think A tier is her home. The last legend in this tier is Caustic. Now Gas Daddy is kind of like Wattson, where they're very strong in specific situations, but right now the meta does not not favor them. The meta does not favor zone playstyles right now. A lot of people do just want to ape, and if they see you holding a building, they're going to do everything in their power to try and run you down. So Caustic is not the S tier pick that he used to be, but his strength cannot be understated. He can hold buildings well, and he makes it such a pain in the butt to try to siege his building. But now let's move into our secretly broken tier, and there's actually 3 legends finding themselves here. We got Loba, Wraith, and Newcastle. Starting off with Loba, she's always been a good pick for the last couple seasons. I think I've always had her in A tier, but what's making her absolutely busted this season is the class rework. Now, Loba can craft banners for her teammates even if they are timed out. She has a lot more flexibility in her playstyle, and I know a lot of people wanted that to be a thing for her black market, but honestly, in my opinion, this is better because you can just straight up run from a fight if it goes south. Honestly, right now, Loba is probably the go-to solo queue legend if you are thinking about solo queuing. She is so stupidly strong, but not a lot of people are really picking up on it just yet. That's why I have her in secretly broken, because once people really understand this, you're going to see Loba a lot more. And that's kind of the same reason why I have Wraith in this tier, because Wraith also was one of the legends that did get buffed at the start of the season. She got more distance on her portal, and she also did get a lot more speed with it. Wraith used to be a staple pick in the meta, but then she kind of fell out. She was still kind of strong, but not a lot of people were using her, and now she's going back to that really strong pick, but not a lot of people are going back to Wraith because they've kind of found other mains. The amount of space that you can cover with her portal to take different angles in fights, get your teammates out. If you're in a bad situation in endgame, you can find a new building with the portal. It's so versatile right now, and the amount of stuff that you can get your team in and out of is just nuts. And the next legend that we got to talk about is Newcastle. Now, usually I have Newcastle pretty high because he is just such a strong legend. But again, like Loba, he is a support character. He can craft banners. And on top of that, he also just has a really strong kit. Being able to create 3 different forms of cover whenever you need to is just so good. Newcastle is the new Gibraltar, where if you want to have that really strong revive support on your team, he is the go-to pick. And I really like Newcastle because he has the added benefit of having somewhat of an escape tool if things go south or if somebody tries to single you out. If a fight starts to go sideways, just ult to your teammate. You jump to them, you slam down your cover, and you're able to heal and be back in the fight with a really strong position. Newcastle still has such a low pick rate, and I don't understand why. He's such a strong character, secretly broken. But now we've hit the top, the S tier, the legends that are broken this season, and there's 3 here. And if you've been paying attention, you probably know who it is. But right now we got Seer, Bloodhound, and Mad Maggie. I'm going to be grouping Seer and Bloodhound together in this conversation because they're same but different. The scans are still very strong. The scans are still very impactful. If you want to be aggressive and be an edge fighting team, which most of the teams in the rank do right now, you need to have at least one of these on your team. The only thing that the nerfs and kind of changes did to the scans is make them a little bit harder to use and a little bit more annoying to be good with. But if you watch the top teams, they're still running Seer, they're still running Bloodhound because the scans are still very strong in the game. They didn't really take them out. I was really hoping that we were going to see the end of the scan meta, but it's not happening, guys. I'm sorry. These guys are both still S tier. And the last legend here is Mad Maggie. Now, shotguns are ridiculously strong right now, and like I've said before, the meta is up close fighting in your face. And that's where Mad Maggie shines. Her Wrecking Ball, very strong. Although it does have some bugs, it is very good. Her Riot Drill is also really good for finishing off kills. If somebody does happen to get away from you and ducks behind cover to pop a shield battery, you just throw the Riot Drill, finish them off, and then worry about their teammates. And because she's so up close and personal, she can run shotgun SMG and make them work really well. And right now, the shotguns, the SMGs, they're broken. I sound like a broken record here because I've just been talking about how good these guns are. But seriously, Mad Maggie, such a good pick this season. But let me know if you guys want to make any changes to the tier list in the comments down below. And if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I made Second Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.